Hello, my loves. Happy New Year. If you are catching the replay, please hashtag it replay and let me know you were here and where you were watching from so that I can show you some love and some appreciation. I am live on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So for those of you on TikTok, if you want to go back and watch the replay, it will be on YouTube. And if you're just finding me, if you are brand new to me, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multi-dimensional channel, teacher, and healer. And I'm really here to help you evolve your mind, body, and soul, manage your energy, step into that self-mastery. And I'm really excited because today we're going to talk a little bit about 2023 as a whole. Normally I dedicate, in the past, I should say, I've dedicated a whole video to 2020, to the year ahead. But the energy is much different now than it used to be. And if you guys have been following my updates all last year, then you'll know that we have gone through these consistent, sustained frequencies on the planet. And what that means is the amount of information that we're processing per hour, right? This is not the effect of solar flares. It's not the effect of the moon. It's not the effect of God knows what else. Those are all things on their own. They're kind of like happening because of the frequency increase on the planet. So these are sustained. They're not like a temporary spike. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means. But because of that, there's a lot of unpredictability in 2023, and we're going to talk about why that is. And so we're going to talk about a few themes that we see as a collective, meaning me and my guides see moving forward through this year, and talk a little bit about January. Today, as I'm recording this, is the full moon in Cancer. It's today around 6 p.m. Eastern, give or take, is going to be the peak. I don't know if it's a super moon or not, but it freaking feels like it, right? My sun, moon, rising, and Venus are all water signs, so I'm highly affected by this moon. Generally, I'm more affected by new moons, but here we are. So if you're on live, say hello. Let me know that you're here. Don't allow yourself to be seen and heard. Hello, everybody. You love me. Well, hello. Hi. Okay. Woo! So let's start out with January before we go into 2023. January feels like a big ass pressure release. Like we have, hi Kelly, like we have just collectively, it feels like a giant pressure release, right? And so there's a lot of logical explanations for that. We're coming out of a holiday season, the chaos, the finances, the family, the mess, the decorations, right? So there's that aspect of the go, go, go. But it just feels like this big pressure release. And it feels like a surrendering, right? A surrendering into, oh, can I just be for a minute? Can I just settle? But not only that, it's a massive shedding. And I didn't really foresee this type of energy for right now, but it really is showing up right now. Like it's just this big release and this shedding. The word shedding is what I keep getting. That is the word that they keep giving me. And normally I would say things like emotional releases or this or that. It literally just feels like a shedding. And it's shedding of aspects of self. Like there's been a very pivotal shift that's happened over the last couple of weeks where it really feels like a lot of aspects of ourself that were like hanging on by a thread, meaning we were hanging on to them, right? Because we don't know who we will be when we let go of those versions of ourselves. So it's like these aspects of ourselves that we're hanging on by a thread are just falling off. We're just letting them go because we're just so done, right? There's this energy of just being done. We're just done. The last couple of years have been an emotional ride for all of us. Hi, good morning, Megan. Oh, thank you. I've been on a purple kick lately with my eyes. And if you guys have questions during this, while I'm doing this co-creative channeling and discussion between me and my guides with you guys, drop them. I will come back and answer them. And what you're experiencing, if you need help with experiencing something, just drop it in the comments, okay? So it feels like these aspects of self we're just letting them go. Like there's just energy of just being done. We're just done. We're done with the struggle. We're done with all of the chaos. It's just this energy of we're just fed up. We're at our wits' end, and that I can feel that so strongly in the collective right now. Right, just this energy. I'm done. So January is very much a pressure release. The middle of January, I'm hearing the 18th in my head. So around, give or take that day. Remember, time is relative and fluid. So around that time, we will have some more intensity show up, but I don't necessarily I don't ever say intensity is a bad thing or a good thing. It's just intense, right? You can have really good intense moments and really bad intense moments, right? So, again, good or bad is subjective, right or wrong is subjective. It can only be right or wrong for you or good or bad for you. And that could be completely opposite for me. And so, we have to really stop comparing and we really have to tune in to what is right for us. But overall, the month of January feels really good. It is really important, and to bring this up, you know, the collective has this big focus, this belief that January 1st is the new year, it's the reset. Really, it's not energetically. The guides always go by the solstices. The solstices really mark the change of energies. So that's why the last couple of weeks of December were we had such a pivotal shift because the solstices are the main energy over everything, over these portal numbers that the human collective give all the energy to, over all these astrological events. Like the solstices are the main energy that really have the biggest pivotal shift for the human conscious collective. So it's really important to kind of keep in mind. Also, we are still in this energy of, especially in the northern hemisphere, but we're really in this energy of rest still, of really just kind of, again, that pressure release, the energy of being. I don't really see a lot of progressive forward movement for, and we're kind of mixing forecasts here, but I don't really see that real forward momentum until March. March is when there's something very pivotal energetically that's happening in March of 2023. I'm feeling more towards the end of March, but I have been feeling that since about November. So there's really a pivotal shift in the energetic field that's going to happen in March. So again, January overall is a really good energy. It's going to be a really good energy for you to just keep going inward, getting really clear about the foundation of this year. What is it that you want to experience this year? So let's kind of go deeper into 2023, and we'll continue to go back and forth. But there's a few themes that are showing up for 2023, and I'm going to talk about some things that I've been talking about for months, and that is that we have entered into the restructuring phase, the collective, right? So those of you who saw, I have a brand new course of channeled transmissions that is going to be starting on the 15th, and it's called Shifting Frequencies, right? So it really goes really in deep to the micro and macrocosms of the 4 stages of awakening, and how to shift in each of those stages, and how to really work with the energies to keep you in a flow instead of being stuck. And it's really a pivotal time for these transmissions to come out, because as I've been mentioning over the last few years, or not few, last few months, is that we are in stage 3 collectively, right? And this is a cyclical energy. So it's not like it happens only one time. You go through 4 stages one time and you're done. That's not how things work. But collectively, we're currently in a stage 3, and the stage 3 is us being our own mother and father, right? It is us restructuring. It is the physical restructuring. And so over this year, and probably even a little bit into 24, we're going to be going through the real physical restructuring. Now, we've been going through a restructuring for a while now, but there's phases to it the same way like I'm going to be going through in these transmissions. So, we have the awareness, right? The mental awareness, and we have the emotional experience, and then there's this big delay in between the emotional and the physical. Well, a couple of months ago, at the end of last year, around September, October-ish, we started the physical restructuring. And so this is when this next year, and really probably 23 and 24, will probably be the biggest pivotal years that we will have ever experienced ever in history that's been recorded, of our country, of this world, not just US, but of this world. We are going to go through the biggest transformation that you have ever seen, and we're going to we're going to physically, tangibly be able to see it. And listen, you guys have already started to see some of this. You've already seen truth and transparency, being put out in the world in a way that we have never seen it before. There's a lot of just ridiculous nonsense being released that is truth, right? There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of climate change. There's a lot of big things that are happening all at one time. So one of the themes that we're going to feel this year is confusion. Like there's going to be so much truth injected, even more than already has been, which is mind blowing to think about. At the same time, where they're going to continue this injection of distraction, and distruth. Distruth. I know that's the word I'm getting. The opposite of truth, right? Control, basically, because there's going to be a huge power struggle this year. And the reason why there's going to be such a huge power struggle this year is because so many of us are just done, and we don't know what to believe as a human collective. We don't know what to believe anymore. We don't know what's truth. We don't know who we can put any energy into. And so there's a lot of that confusion energy of like what's up, what's down, like this is just absurd and ridiculous. But there's a lot of infrastructure that's going to collapse this year. And I'm not going to tell you it's going to be government or financial or whatever, but you're going to see it across the board. You're going to see it in different ways and different things, because this is the physical restructuring. So we're going to see new things coming in. There was a ton of medical and they're showing me, but I'm not getting the word. Medical and technological innovation in 2022 that was done and that will be starting to be showcased or brought out for everyone to see in 23, right? Especially towards the middle of the year and towards the end, we're really going to start to see this shift in the medical industry and health. Like people, that's another thing they're done with. Like people are done with the food chemical processing, all of that stuff. So we're really having the collective really going, I am ready and I want healthier ways of getting healthy, right? I don't want just taking prescription pills. I don't want to be ignored by my doctor. Like I'm wanting more natural remedies. I'm wanting to get to the root of things. So we're really going to start to see a shift in medical technology, and really the medical field being more open to quantum, right? Being more open to light therapy, sound therapy, energy healing. So that those doors that have already opened, by the way, like these doors have been cracked open, right? And slowly they've been kind of infusing this into mainstream medicine. But we're really going to see that door just kind of get pushed right open. And people are like, nope, this is what we want. We're not going to take anything less. So really watch over the next 2 years how medical innovation and technological innovation is really going to go through the roof. So not to get too far off on that tangent, but we're really going to see that shift, because that's another aspect of us just being done, right? But there is going to be some confusion. So that is one of the themes this year. There is going to be a little bit of confusion because of that done energy. People are just fed up. And so again, we're going to come back to what I said earlier, which is why it's so important for this year, and as a physical restructuring year, that you go through your physical restructuring. This is when you have to get crystal clear on your boundaries. Again, what are boundaries? You probably heard me say this a zillion times, but I'm going to program it into your head. Boundaries are your values, your virtues that you live by when no one's watching, behind closed doors. Those are the set of things that is what you value, and your virtue is your action, right? So again, you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Another thing you guys hear me say all the time. So boundaries are not a fence, it is a filter. You have to let everything in. You have to open yourself up to let everything in, but everything needs to be able to flow through. It isn't about holding on to, taking personal, judging. The judgment has to go this year. You have to let go of the judgment. And judgment is you saying, this experience is bad. This experience is wrong. This experience is shit, right? It's about being, this is what is, this is happening for me. I may not fucking like it, excuse my language. Acceptance is not agreement, but it's showing me where I have a weakness in my boundaries, where I need to say, nope, this is my standard, and this is how I will treat myself. This is how I will operate on a day-to-day. And we go through a restructuring. This is why so many people struggle to sustain actual change, and why they continue to go through these loops and suffer. It's because they don't actually want to do the work, or they're not actually doing the work. And listen, the work is freaking hard. Right now, all transparency, my human journey is a little cray-cray, right? Like, I have a really cool life. Like, look, I'm in a cabin, or actually not a cabin, it's a gigantic mansion house. But I am literally deep in the middle of the Georgia mountains right now, surrounded by bears and deer, and I got a fireplace roaring, and I got all kinds of birds and hiking trails and lakes, and like, I have a super cool life. But at the same time, I'm going through a lot of stuff. And so I'm having to do the work, some days hour by hour. Other days I just sail through, right? So we all have to do our work. It doesn't matter where you are on your evolution. It doesn't matter how long you've been channeling, or how long you've been awake, or how long you've been on this healing journey. It doesn't effing matter. Because when you understand how the shifting frequencies work, when you understand the cyclical nature, you understand that it's the same four frequencies go around and around and around, and each time you're going a little bit deeper in, you're going a little bit more out, right? So you're going deeper in, which extends your awareness field out, right? So there's this energy that's happening. So it doesn't matter where you are on your evolution. It makes no difference. There is no hierarchy. There is no better or less than. We are all special. We are all unique. We are all right where we are supposed to be, by the decisions that we are making, by the mindset we are keeping, by the words that we are speaking. Let me take a drink. That was a lot. Take a breath. So part of this restructuring is you getting crystal clear on who you are and who you want to be, and choosing to live by that, in order to remembering that there is a gap between you getting clear here, feeling it here, and it developing. In order for anything to manifest into physical form, the energy of that, the frequency of that manifestation has to be sustained long enough to hold together to create the form. So there is always going to be a gap, right? Again, I always use the diet analogy. If you go to the gym one time and eat one salad, you're not going to drop 20 pounds. It just doesn't work like that. It's the same with energy, right? But the old way of doing things, the old beliefs, the old habits, if you don't have the willpower and the commitment to self to stay with it every day, to choose it, it's going to be this back and forth. There's going to be further and further delay of that and what you want to see. We also are always contributing as a collective to the collective. So what we do, again, but they always say it this way for a reason. What you do and say to yourself or to others behind closed doors when nobody's watching is your contribution to the collective, the same way it would be when you step outside. But oftentimes people step outside or step in front of somebody and they put on a mask. They pretend, they smile, they're sweet, they say all the right things, but they go behind closed doors and they're like, fuck this, blah, blah. They just start being somebody else. So your contribution to the collective, the world stage that you see today, is how everybody is feeling and thinking and the behaviors that they're doing behind closed doors when no one's watching. And this is so important for people to hear, because you think that it doesn't matter. It actually does. It matters very much. That is how you should start this year. You should start this year by really getting clear on what your values and virtues are, who you want to be, how you're going to operate, how you're going to speak, how you want to feel. Because that is going to be the structure that holds the flow of energy, that keeps you, that's your ship, your boat, car, whatever you want to do. That's the solidness, the masculine. The feminine is the flow. It's the intuition. It's allowing yourself to go. And that's going to bring us into our second theme that's going to run through 2023, which is faith. Now, I've said this a few times in written posts, but I'm going to say it again here. Last year was my year of faith. That means I had to walk most of last year, and actually it was all of last year really, in uncertainty, blind. I had to trust. I had to find safety inside of myself. And that is what everyone in the collective is going to have to do this year. It's going to be a year where you are going to be asked to walk in uncertainty and to have faith like you have never had before. I got like full body chills when I said that. Because there's going to be so much confusion, because there's so much of the collective that is still fighting with this forward evolution, who still has not mustered the courage or the bravery to make the changes that they need to make so that we can all see what needs to be. A lot of people, majority of the collective, have a desire to see a different world, to live in a different world. But sometimes it takes things getting much more challenging for people to choose to change. So there is quite a bit of uncertainty in what we will experience this year, because right now we are running, the frequencies are running so differently than they've ever run before. Our contribution, our collective decision, our collective voting, if you will, is so imperative right now. And you make that by your subconscious choices every single day. Every single day. So there can be a lot of upheaval when you're asked to walk in uncertainty, when you're asked to walk in faith. You may lose a lot of things. You may gain a lot of things. You may remember, every challenge is an opportunity. Every opportunity is going to pose a challenge. So whatever's showing up for you, if you can stand in the self-awareness enough to say, this may suck or this may be amazing, whatever way you're judging it or looking at it, but this is happening for me. I may just not know what's happening right now. So again, one of my favorite people in the whole wide world is Dr. Wayne Dyer. And one of the things that he says is, when you can't change your circumstances, change the way you look at it. And that's one of my specialties, right? Is choosing your lens of perception, choosing the way you see it. Choosing the way you see it. You can tell the same story two different ways. You can show the story as the worst thing that's ever happened to you, or you can tell the story as the best thing that's ever happened to you. And I'm a perfect example of this. Last year, I hit one of my lowest points of facing survival fears, of facing deepest fears I was always afraid of. And while it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I got to do and see things that I never would have done and saw. I just wouldn't have. And because I was stubborn, and because I wasn't challenging enough for me to choose to do this, I got pushed off the cliff. And I started to free fall. And then I was like, oh shit, I have wings. Let me open those. And then it ended up being the best couple of weeks that I ever had, looking back in hindsight. This is a perfect example of what's going to happen this year for a lot of people. It can be the most amazing year of opportunities and uncertainties and things you never could have imagined, or it can be a year of literally having everything taken away and pulled apart. It's really up to you. It's really up to you. What is it going to take for you to change? What is it going to take for you to choose to restructure yourself? There's going to be a lot of faith and learning how to trust and feel safe inside of yourself, right? Because let's be honest, the world stage is a freaking whacked out reality show right now. We don't know what's going to happen next. On a human side note, I really love what's happening with Elon because he's just so hilarious to watch. Anyway, I will not get political, but I just am really enjoying watching Elon right now. So there's going to be a lot of faith and a lot of people learning how to trust in themselves, to trust that they know what to do and how to handle things when the time comes. It's learning to get out of stress and worry and fear and stepping into living in this present moment and going, whatever shows up, I trust me. So if I trust me, then whatever shows up, I know I will be able to either figure it out or find someone who can help me. So it's going to be really important that you build a solid team around you of people who can hold space, right? Who know what holding space means, of mentors or a community that is of people that are of the frequency that you want to be in or be surrounded in or embody, right? You are the product of the people you surround yourself with. You are a product of your environment. So surround yourself with people who push you to go further, that help you pull your frequency up. Be a conscious contributor to that frequency. There's going to be another thing that happens this year. This is always a touchy subject for me on a human level. But again, we're going to see another year of a lot of loss. Okay. And so I want to say this right off the bat. When a soul exits this game, when a soul chooses to leave their body, it's their choice, no matter how it happens. Zero. I don't care what you tell me, no matter how it happens. It was a soul's choice to exit. They took an off ramp. There's going to be a lot of people who exit the game this year. Know that it was their choice. It does not mean that you still can't grieve. It doesn't mean that you still can't have your emotions, be sad. I still grieve every day for my father. So I get it. But we will see an increase of loss this year. Mental health will be on the rise. Again, because of the amount of faith and uncertainty that we're going to be asked to walk in, it can really, and I can attest to this because last year was probably my biggest mental health battle of choosing to be here every day. And not because of anything other than sometimes self-awareness and mental health go very much hand in hand, because the more aware you become, the more you're like, am I actually progressing? Is my soul still choosing to be here? Do I still have more to do here? Do I want to be here? It's not from a sad place. It's from a very aware place. Not everybody will be there from that place. But again, as we shed aspects of self, and this is something that I've talked about a lot when I do parts work, aspects of self, right? As we go through those shifting of frequencies and we get to the fourth stage, even the third stage sometimes, which is what we're in, right? So between the third and the fourth stage, that's when the pain is usually the greatest. I always say the more intense the pain is, or the more intense the emotion is, means it's right here. It's in front of your heart. It's knocking at the door of your heart saying, open the door and love me in that form. Open the door, love me in that form. Don't judge me, don't shame and blame me, don't get mad at me, don't wish I wasn't here. It is a part of you that is begging you to just love them in their sadness, to love them in their grief, to love them in their anger, to give them that aspect, what they needed to have back then, to bring it into reconciliation, to bring it into neutrality. Your body is constantly wanting, energy and body are constantly trying to come into homeostasis, right into balance. But oftentimes when we're in that stage where it's so intense and at the door of our heart, people actually misunderstand or don't discern that it's not that they want to end their life or exit. It's that a part of them is dying or going home, meaning integration. And I can, on my human side, I can completely attest to this. As I have, last year, I did the most integration work of parts of myself than I ever have since I've been consciously doing this work. And that's been a long time. And I can tell you that there were moments that, and I was fully aware that there was a part of me that was dying, but it felt so real because I was allowing myself to feel all of it, that I was like questioning, like, am I choosing to be here anymore? And I had to keep reminding myself because I was still very in tune with my beingness, my soul, that they're saying, no, stay the course. This is a part of you that you're integrating. Just love yourself through it. Love yourself through it. I mean, there's a reason why it's tattooed on my arm. I love you anyway. It's a constant reminder to open the door and love myself in whatever form. To sit with it in that moment, to let myself be swallowed by it for just a second so it can move through me. But a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand what aspects of self are. They don't understand how to work with themselves. I have a ton of courses on this, by the way. So that's part of the reason why we're going to see a lot of loss as well. But there's also a theme of hope, innovation, luck. I don't like to use that. The guides don't like to use the word luck because we make our own luck, right? But this is part of the restructuring. Some people are going to be so fed up and so determined that they're like, no, nope, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to create. And they're going to look super lucky. They're going to look like, oh my God, what happened? You just went from 0 to 60. And it's really not luck. It's just that internal motivator. This is a 7-year universally, which is a master number. 7 is a master number. It's a God number, right? 7 days in the week, 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 wonders of the world, like 7 chakras. Like the 7 number is so prominent. This is a mastery year. Mastery year. This is the year to have the support. This is the year to do the work that you have been half-assing. This is the year where your money goes where your mouth is. Like, this is it. This is a very pivotal shift for everybody this year. There will be lots of things and little tweaks and little side turns that we take this year. But this year holds the most significant power of transformation. Most significant, to the point to where 10 years from now, 20 years from now, people are going to look back and go, holy shit. Can you believe we got to witness that? This is why Earth is the golden ticket right now, because what we are going through, what we are witnessing, what we are a part of, is what everybody wanted to, which is so crazy, right? Because the human part of us is like, this place is hell. But it's really not. It's just our perception of it. It's just our perception of it. And what they're wanting us to perceive it as. But it's really, truly not that. As someone who's been traveling the country since last April, I can tell you people are kind. Our country is in the US anyway, that's where I am. It's beautiful. People are kind. It's not what everyone tries to make it out to be. It's a very beautiful place if you choose to see it that way, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So this is the year. It's going to be super important that you know how to shift, that you know how to move through that flow of energy, that you master feeling safe inside of you, or at least the beginning stages of it, that you master trusting yourself. Because honestly, we came here to live in uncertainty. The human part of us, the ego, right, which is the DNA passed down through the bloodline of our ancestors, that small, tiny part of ourselves, and it is very small, by the way, is what doesn't like uncertainty. The other majority of our larger self, which is much quieter, which is our soul, craves uncertainty. Why? Because when we are back in our energetic bodies, we have a desire, we instantly go to it. There's no uncertainty. We know everything. We have a thought, we're curious about something, boom, we align to it, we know it. We are all one. We are all connected. It's a network. We're all a part of the same source. We are all an aspect of it. It's kind of boring, to be honest. And then so you inhabit a body, you partition off a big part of yourself, so you have a lot of amnesia, and you go through a physical experience of uncertainty, of adventure, of living in the moment. Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Ooh, I wonder how this is going to turn out. But so many live in the small aspect of the self, which is the loud voices, which is the control, which is the fear, which is the anxiety. I got to know, I got to be, I'm afraid, all of these things, right? That's the smallest part of you speaking. And that is the aspects of self that I've been speaking about, that are your inner children, that are your ego personalities, that are parts of you that is what's ascending. It lives and stores in your body. Your body's what's ascending. Your consciousness is what's evolving. But the physical body and brain is what's actually ascending, going from carbon to crystalline. We are evolving the body, right? Because there will come a time where we will be able to shapeshift in and out of a human body, but not until we can evolve the body into a crystalline structure, which is that's what ascension is. Right? So when those emotions come up, you have to feel it. You have to feel all of it without taking it personally, without hooking on to it. When you have the thought, you need to see that it's a streaming, right? It's like the cloud. Do you choose that? Do you pull that down? Do you anchor that? What actions do you take? So that's the themes of 2023. And it can feel a little overwhelming in a lot, but you are in control of your state of being. You are in control of the way that you look at the world. You are in control of your actions, your courage. You are in control of your willpower. Now, the majority of people don't have a healthy willpower, but this is part of that. It's part of choosing it. It's part of choosing it. So let me see if there's any questions. I'm going to start over here. So Megan says that she keeps getting sore throats and severe ear pain and cannot heal, and it is intense. So That's a mix of two things. So you're going through, okay, thank you. This is why this is important. Um, you're going through a frequency increase. So before I answer that, they want me to talk about what I didn't talk about, which is sustained frequencies on the planet. So over towards the end of last year, August, September, October, November, December, really that whole area, we went through some of the largest sustained planetary frequency increases that we have ever seen. We are processing so much information per hour, which is light. Light is information, so we're processing so much information per hour that it's really insane, and it's causing um, a lot of things that can happen to the physical body, right? Because this is a purge. When our frequency of the planet goes this high, and that's sustained, right? So it's the new frequency of the planet. That is what we are now immersed in. Our physical body is now immersed in that higher frequency, whether we want to let it into our physical body or not. So what happens is I always use the reference of, oh, sorry, I'm looking for my phone. It's right here. I'm on it. When you go through a phone update, right? A software update, if you don't have the space for the update, you have to clear space. So you have to delete photos, you have to delete apps, you have to delete emails, whatever, right? You have to make space for the update. Well, what happens if these updates keep coming in and you haven't made space for the first update? Now you have a backlog of updates. So a lot of people are being surrounded by the backlog of energies of high frequencies that they aren't making space for because they're in resistance or they're in attachment, right? And so, or they just have you know, they don't want to deal with the pain or the discomfort that comes with that, can come with that, not always. So with that being said, again, this is a physical purge because we're in the physical stage of this. Stage 3 is physical. It is a restructuring. So whatever neural pathways need to be rewired, if there needs to be throat chakra upgrades, if you have a frequency increase, a lot of times you hear that frequency increase can be felt through the ears. So if it needs to clear stuff out of the ears, it's going to. If it needs to clear things from the throat, it's going to, right? So anytime there are these things happening, it's really important for you. And this is why, again, I know sometimes I sound like a broken record, but it's really important to drill these things in. Then one of the most important things you will ever learn is how to read and communicate with your body. This is why this is why I touch on it or teach it in almost every one of my courses. It's like you've got to learn how to communicate with your body, to connect with the density, to go into it, to explore it, not from a space of the ego mind, not from a space of logic, like let me understand this, but from a sense of allowing the information to be interpreted, allowing it to unfold, allowing yourself to be in it and discern, what can I do to support my body? What is my body needing from me right now? Because obviously there is some density that is being alchemized for me on my behalf. So what can I do to support my body? And people will experience ascension symptoms across the board always, right? So depending on where your density lives in your body is probably where you're going to feel. Wherever the frequency upgrade needs to clear, that's what you're going to feel or experience first. Whatever emotions you feel is from the density being broken up and alchemized, and it sets the trapped emotion free, and you start to feel it. The thoughts that start running rampant through your mind are oftentimes the stories, the ego stories, the algorithm of the past that was buried in that emotion, which that emotion was buried in that density that was trapped in the body. And when we don't allow these updates, when we don't do our work, when we don't make the space, when we don't sit with the emotion, when we don't communicate with our bodies, when we don't support our bodies and our space, those energies backlog so much they create a pressurizing. Like, could you imagine if there's a ton of pressure around a glass jar and nothing inside? It doesn't even matter if there's something in the jar or not. The jar is eventually going to buckle, and these are the tower moments of our lives where the rug gets pulled out. The deck of cards collapses and falls everywhere. We lose everything. We lose our job. We lose our relationship. We whatever, right? sometimes we have to have this big energy come in and break it. We need something to break the energy so we can see all the damn pieces and go, shit. Well, I was in such resistance to looking and feeling at all of this and dealing with all of this. Now I have no choice to, because everything's been shattered. The energy's been broken, right? There's going to be a pressurizing that happens. So that's what you don't want. And not that that's what's going to happen to you, Megan. I'm just using you as an example to really talk about how the frequency increases work. And these are only going to continue. Are they going to be as intense as what we went through last year? Absolutely not. They're going to be a little bit more subtle. We went through a huge frequency increase the first 3 days of January. And while I could feel it, I didn't talk about it. You know why? Because I think we're handling it a whole lot better than we were before. But again, whatever you're experiencing in your body as an ascension symptom, right? And it's all ascension symptoms, by the way, because any kind of disease, any kind of illness, any type of cold, flu, pain, anything like that, I don't care what you've been diagnosed with. You can tell me all your crap. It's genetic. It's my parents had it. It's just what it is. No, it's a choice to continue to have that. It's a choice to continue to play that out. It's a choice to communicate with your body and say, what can I do to support you, to bring you into homeostasis, to operate more efficiently? I've seen people and heard so many stories of people healing things that they say are uncurable. At this point, it's a choice to make to stay in any type of physical anything in the body. I know that seems, even my ego mind is having a hard time with that as it comes through, but it's what it is. So learning to communicate with your body, learning to discern what the energy, what's happening and what is needed for you to support your body and to support your consciousness is pivotal. And it's not hard. It's just something you have to do to get consistent with it. But for you in particular, it feels like just a frequency increase. So there's density being cleared to be able to hold that new frequency. Kelly, maybe the year my vertical hydro food invention will come to fruition. Got to put that work in, girl. Yeah, Earth's time delay. It sucks. It just does. But you know what? The delay is actually not as big as it used to be. It's actually not. It's so much easier to manifest the negative things in your life, to buy into the negative, to believe the negative, because you, again, when you're operating from your small self, again, the aspects of the ego and inner children, those part is the physical, tangible DNA that is in your body, right? It's not ethereal DNA like the rest of your body. It's the physical DNA. That is what we clone, that's cloned from our parents and was cloned from their parents. So there's this generational energy that comes down. I want you to think about this for a second. All of that is backed by ancestor after ancestor after ancestor after ancestor. There's so much energy that supports the negative belief. There's so much energy that supports the things that aren't working or have not worked, right? Because there's such a history and energy and belief into it. So you really have to make the choice to discern between the small self, again, and this is parts work, right? This is what I've been talking about. And the soul speaking, the intuition, your beingness. And hold the new frequency of what it is that you are desiring, the new belief. And there's a way that to do this, and this will be what we're going to kind of do in shifting frequencies. But I don't, it's a fruit fly or something's driving me nuts. Sorry. There's a technique to doing that, right? That helps, but you have to do that so for quite a long time. You want to hold that energy and allow it to compact, because anything that's physical, this crystal, my microphone, my computer, this bench, whatever, all of it is energy tightly compacted into form. So you have to constantly feed the new thing energy until it is so tight and so abundant in that frequency that it holds form and can sustain that form. Not temporarily bring the form in and then you don't, it's not enough, so it doesn't have enough gas to stay there, it doesn't have enough power to hold the form, right? It's not a strong enough structure. And so you have to keep doing it. It's very easy to fall back onto old ways. And that's just the truth because of how much is backed behind the other way. So it really is something you have to be consistent and committed to. And again, not easy to do, but you have to believe. That's the magic. You have to believe. You have to keep believing and keep believing. And faith is having the courage to believe even when it doesn't look like it's going to work out. Knowing that however it works out is how it's meant to work out, right? Because you have to let go of the expectations. You have to let go of how you want it to look. Because how you want it to look is very much coming from the ego mind. So I hope that helps. I am in the same spot with the ear infection, sore throat, and battling in my diet habits, switching to vegan, to vegetarian, to vice versa. And that's a really good thing to talk about too. Is um, it's why I don't label myself as vegan or vegetarian or anything. Like, listen, I was a meatitarian for a very long part of my life. I ate a keto Atkins based diet for most of my life. And then I went completely vegan and then I went vegetarian and I just gave it all up, the labeling, right? This is part of releasing judgment. I just gave up all the labeling. I eat intuitively. If my body needs something and it happens to come from an animal product, I just get the best animal product, the one that I feel is the animal was the best treated, least amount of modifications, if you will, and blessing the food, infusing high frequencies of love into it. But, one of the biggest things that people experience as a vegan is a loss in B12. And B12, majority of B12 comes from animal products. You can get B12 in other sources. It's not the same, but you can. And supplement is hard because it's chemical derived and it's foreign to the body. So B12 is a huge part of supporting our nerves and our nervous system. B12 is also a big part of our mental health. And so it's something to keep in mind, but listening to your body and your intuition instead of labeling yourself or being stuck in one diet, just even intuitively. If your body's craving something, right? I was craving eggs and chicken, and I don't normally eat eggs and chicken, especially eggs. Eggs tend to feed parasites in your body. So I have not been a big egg person for quite a long time. But that told me something. It told me that my B12 was really, really low. And it's also why I was having nerve pain. And so I went to my doctor when I was in North Carolina and I asked her to run some blood work just because I wanted to further confirm my own dictionary that I knew this is what it was. And I told the doctor, I said, I want to have my B levels checked and these certain things checked. And she said, oh, you could be craving it for all these reasons. I said, you're right, I could, but I'm pretty sure it's because of this, because that's what I'm very in tune with my body, because I have spent years learning to read my body and to build my own dictionary. And she didn't believe me. Lo and behold, guess what? Who was right? I was. So let go of the labels. Again, that is judgment. Stop labeling. We over label emotions. We over label everything. Let it go. Let it just be what it is. Eat intuitively. But again, same thing, ear infections, sore throat, those are frequency increases. I mentioned that over the last 3 weeks, we went through a couple of really big 3 days. And then the last 3 weeks, we went through a really big shift in the energy. So those sound like, again, frequency upgrades that are coming in. So let that density clear, listen to your body, communicate with your body, learn how to do that. If you don't, if you need help, you can reach out to my website or me, and I can guide you to a product or service, but communicate with your body, ask it what it needs, learn how to work with the density of what's happening and what does your body need to support it, and stop fighting against it, stop resisting it. It is what it is. That is acceptance. You don't have to like it. Okay, now what can I do to support myself as I go through this? Right? That's the very best way to handle it. Every day I'm being asked, can you just believe? That's good. But you, that should tell you, if you're having to be asked that every day, you should ask yourself, why don't you believe? Like, what is standing between you and believing that? And that is what you need to work with. So, like, what is, this is a really good thing for the full moon right now anyway. So ask yourselves, what is the resistance that is standing between me and what I want to experience, or what I want to call into my life, or what I want to feel? And if that resistance could speak, what would it say to me? Because if you can't believe, if you can't have these things, there's something that's standing in the way. And that is what you have to face. That's what you have to work with. That's what I've been having to do anyway. That's what I've been guided to do. Thank you guys on TikTok for all the follows. Calling me out. Yeah, it sucks when the guides call you out. I keep getting fall of 2023 will not be good. I don't get that, but again, what the guides have told me, and I'm doing this 2023 channeling a little bit differently than I've done previous years. They very much do not want to give me any predictions for the year other than some themes, because they said the uncertainty of this year is so vast. They're giving me the example of last year in September of 22. I went to bed. Everything was going smooth. I woke up the next morning and my throat was bulging and I had to channel, and I got on live and I was like, there's something we got to talk about. And they shared that we had this major timeline collapse and convergence. Nobody saw it coming. And it was like we were going straight and we made a freaking hard left and we went in a completely different direction. And this is what they're saying is a perfect example of when the collective gets fed up and they finally have the courage, and there's enough people in the collective that make that conscious, strong decision in their state of being that, no, I'm done. We're not going to do this anymore. This is what we want. And they get so committed internally. When they have a large number of that, we have these huge shifts. So could the fall of 2023 be crazy? Sure. Could it be bad? Sure. Could also be amazing. I think what you're probably referring to is it's going to look a little chaotic in the collective, just because we're coming into another election year. The political crap's the power struggle is gonna be crazy. Like, the reality show that is Earth is gonna get a little whack for a minute. So, I mean, it's all there, but you have to continue to walk in faith. You have to continue to trust in you and to just really come back to turning off what's happening in the collective to an extent, right? Obviously, don't turn a blind eye. Don't be ignorant. Don't be in avoidance of it. Don't have toxic positivity. But to choose to stay inwardly focused on you and your reality, and you staying in your standards and values, and you operating on a day-by-day basis of like what's best for you and your conscious contribution to the collective. Like, if we all did that, this world, we wouldn't be where we are today. If everybody took responsibility and accountability and looked themselves in the mirror and said, I need to make these changes. The shit that I see in the world is not what I like. What do I need to change because I'm a contribution of that? What you judge in the world says something about you. Like, it's something that you're judging inside of you. What you judge in another is something you're judging in yourself. So it's if we all took the time to look in the mirror and make the change that we need to see to be different, right? To be the change, our world would look completely different. But that's what this year is about. This year is the year that people finally have to take responsibility. And if you don't, right? And taking responsibility means being your own mother and father. It's choosing to walk in faith of the cosmos as well, right? Of your connection. You are a part of it. You're a part of everything. You're not separate from God. You are God. You are an aspect of God. God split into an infinite amount of pieces to have experiences across everything. So it really is coming all back to you always. Thank you for the compliment. This person said there's no climate change. Not in the way that is politically or the way that the media puts it out, or the people that are fighting for climate change. That is not what the guides call the true climate change. Solar, electric cars, all of that is shit. None of it is actually making a difference because of the way that's mined. A lot of it still has to be powered by things. There's a lot of innovation that is being done right now that will change the way that we harness free energy, and that's important to remember. We already have free energy. It's the way that we access and harness the energy. And so, is there really climate change happening? Absolutely. The way that Mother Earth is being treated is atrocious. The way that there is waste, the way that we waste her resources, the trash, the fact that we're still using trees instead of hemp, um, the stuff that's put into our water, the way that we waste. It all has a direct effect on our climate. And we're actually going to see that as part of something that plays out this year. You're going to see a lot of species that no longer will exist. You're going to see a lot of climate things that shift. And that's just because it's getting a little ridiculous the way that we treat this planet. And so to say that there is no climate change, that's what the guides would call, that's false. But the way that climate change is being put out into the world, the electric cars are the way, or solar planners are the way. Like, I understand the concepts from a human level, but the way these things are mined, the way these things are built, the way that these things decompose, they're actually more harmful than using fossil fuels. So there's a lot of greed that needs to get out of the way. There's a lot of everything being about money, right? If we, as long as we are still just about money, and this doesn't mean you can't make money, right? That's not what this is about. You can, saying that you have to give away your services for free or do everything has to be free is not the way either. Those are extremes, and everyone is abundant, and you all have access to an abundant stream of everything. Finances, energy, love, it's all there always. You can tap into it. It's struggled on the human level for us to understand how to do that. I get that. But it is the money and the control of the money, the monopoly, the control of everything that is keeping us in this form, right? This is why we don't use plant medicine as much. And while that, we're going to see that shift from chemicals, right? That was all done to make money. Like, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole. But to say that it isn't climate change is not true. It's just that the things that are happening that they think are to better climate change are not where it's at. We just have to stop wasting. We just need to get back to living more simply. We need to stop wasting our resources. We need to be more conscious of our choices. What we purchase, what we waste, what we do, again, behind closed doors with no one watching, is our contribution. So find a way to be more conscious in your own home, and you will, that will be your contribution to the collective, I'm sorry if you guys can't hear me on TikTok. I'm doing the best I can. Okay. So does anyone have any other questions that they would like me about the energies for 2023 or for January? Again, today is the full moon as I record this in Cancer. So again, everything's fluid. So if you hear this a week from now and you're like, oh, I still resonate with doing this activity, then do it. But today would be a really good day to write some letters to people that you are ready to let go of in your life, or even aspects of yourself that you are ready to allow to go home to integrate, to say all the things that you need to say to really let go of the resentment, the envy, jealousy, the grief, whatever it is. Something very interesting was happening for me leading up to it the last couple of weeks. I'm a Scorpio rising. I have Scorpio in two very big placements in my energy. So I bring that up because if you know a Scorpio, we're kind of cutthroat. We kind of swing the pendulum of extremes from one extreme to the other. And so I've always kind of been this person my whole life to where if you screw me over, if you do something that is is ridiculous and out of line. Um, like I'm a very loving, open, emotionally available person, and I am very forgiving. So it has to be pretty extreme. But once I cut you off and say I'm done with you, I'm done. Don't ever expect to hear from me. Don't ever expect for me to. I'll be cordial if I saw you, but I'm not going to have a conversation with you. Like just how I am. And I have actually reached out to a couple of people that I um, pretty much had cut ties with and said I'm done with you. And it was weird. It was like I was reconciling, but not in a way of I want to be your friend. It was a way of like, hey, like I'm letting this go. I don't have zero. I like literally, it just felt like I just let go, and there was no animosity. There was no anything. I could care less if I saw them again or didn't. If I did, I could hold a conversation with them. I just completely cut whatever that was, that energy of needing to be like you're dead to me. I just let it all go. And so I actually reached out to those people and personally sent them text messages or Facebook messages or whatever, and said my piece, um, and wish them the best life. And some people you're not going to be able to do that with, and you're going to need to write them letters, and maybe there's people that you really don't want to send it to, right? So this is the energy. It's perfect for really just looking at your relationships, looking at your friendships, things in your life, belief systems, whatever, and just writing those letters and then burning them tonight. I always say write the letter uh, without forget about punctuation, spelling, forget about making any kind of sense, especially if you're not sending the letter and you're just going to burn it. Like just dump, get it out of your system, say whatever it is, and then read it back right before you burn it. Read it back and feel the release, and then burn it, and then let it go. Don't hold on to it. When you donate something to Goodwill, you don't think about it for the next 5 years. So stop thinking about it. If you don't want it, stop thinking about it. Let it go. So that would be a really good exercise to do. I haven't done cord cutting in a couple of years. I've done a lot of cord cutting the last couple of weeks, um, just where I've allowed things to energetically attach to me again, right? So I had to go in and do that energetic work. So these are some things that are really prominent in the energy this week. But March, let's wrap this up by coming back to this. March, this is going to be a pivotal shift where we're going to really feel that forward momentum. Because again, even though this is a year of faith and walking in uncertainty and confusion and hope and all of these things, it's also very much a do year, right? This isn't a lay back, let me float down the river kind of year. This is I'm done. I'm taking action. I'm making the changes. We're doing life different, and I'm motivated. So it's going to be a really interesting year to watch and see, how things go. And I'm here for the ride. I'm here for the ride. What do you mean? You think blood pressure is involved? What do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, so what time is it? I have a client here shortly. Whew. So that was a lot to digest. So just allow for this to kind of ruminate and take what resonates, leave the rest, right? This is just one perspective. I channel a collective that's made up of many beings. The most predominant that speak right now through me are the 10th dimensional Andromedans and the 12th dimensional Arcturians. So this is the perspective that is brought through. Again, it's not the only perspective, it is their perspective and what resonates the most with me at this time. So if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Let it go and keep what does. All right. As I mentioned, and I'm just going to do a quick little plug, shifting frequencies is the next thing that I'm doing. It is a course of channeled transmissions. I don't have all this information to give you because it's going to be a channeled experience. Some of this I did touch on lightly in my book. But if you want to understand the simplicity of how to live and heal and evolve in a cyclical nature, which is how we're supposed to versus linear, if you want to understand the 4 stages of an awakening, which is the ascension process, if you want to understand them on multiple levels, if you want to understand how to shift out of that into the next level, how to work with those levels, those are the channelings that are going to come through. I would grab your spot as soon as possible, and you can, all of it is linked anywhere. I have my linked stuff that you can access that. There will be 1 to 2 live Q&As, depending on how many questions come through. We might need a second one. And they have said that we will have at least 5 channelings. I'm feeling probably more like 8 channelings, but know that there's going to be, this is a thing that you will own forever. You can come back and reference forever, because we've seen these 4 stages referenced over many, many masters in many different ways. And this is the way that they have brought it through for me. And so again, I've talked about these multiple times, but we're going to go down the deep into these. So if that's something that you feel called to, that will be very helpful in your journey, I would love to see you. What year was your layback by the river year? I don't know if I've had one yet, to be honest with you. I can tell you in 2020, the half of 2020, let me phrase that. 2019 through all of 2020 and some of 2021, I did not do much. If anything, that was probably my float year, because I barely worked. Though those were the years I made the most money. That should tell you something. I was healing stage 3 adrenal fatigue. And so I was kind of forced to do nothing. I was kind of forced to lay back. I watched a lot of conscious television. I read a lot of books. I did a lot of hiking. I did a lot of laying around and meditating and doing a whole lot of nothing. And while it was frustrating, because we think that we want to have peace and we think that we want to have rest and to be, but the moment where we do it, we're like, this is uncomfortable. I'm used to chaos. I'm used to drama. I'm used to go, go, go. I'm used to that masculine energy. And so I had to learn to be in that. And then by the end of 2021, they were like, "Nope, time to shift. You're not going to shift on your own. We're going to push you off the cliff." And that's how I went into 22. So when you will go through those sustained periods, and again, we'll talk about this in the shifting frequencies transmissions, where when you're going especially from stage 4, when you enter into stage 4 and get ready to recycle and go back into stage 1, there is a period where you're sustained for some time, right? And so that's going to be the best way to describe floating down the river. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast, and I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.